Alright, hey everyone, how's it going, and welcome back to another Roman history video. Before this video starts, I'd just like to say I've been thinking of a demonym, so basically how do I refer to all of you people? Pseudonymers is too long, anonymous might help, I don't want a Guy Fawkes mask, and I can't think of anything else, so could you guys please suggest what you would like to be called as a fan group in the comments? That would be extremely helpful. Anyway, this is another Roman history video. In the last video, we talked about the sack of Rome by Brennus, the mustache man, and today we're going to be starting what is the trend that will continue even into 476, even into 1453, and ever afterwards, which is the great state of Rome. Before, empires existed, but the Roman Empire would redefine what it is to be an empire, and many of those terms that it added still carry into the modern era. Yeah, so last time we ended with the sack of Rome, so let's start with Rome picking itself up from the ashes. Over the previous few centuries, Rome has seen kings, it's seen consuls, it's seen military tribunes, and every so often it appears to climb a little bit up this ladder. Convenient clip art, by the way, and suddenly there's a snake, be it the Gallic sack or the Etruscans or whatever, and they come back down, and then they climb back up, and they come back down, and now we're going to start to see the Romans climb a lot further up a lot bigger ladder, because now they're going beyond the city, and it's a little bit of the area around it. They're going into an actual empire itself. Now, we've got Rome, and at this point, Rome controlled and influenced a pretty sizable chunk of what is now Latium, and also, Etruria up here. But the Gallic sack rendered it basically impotent, and its enemies took this chance to start attacking it. However, Rome decided to, keep going, keep prospering, and they managed to push back the hill tribes, the Etruscans, and some other tribes in the area, and by about 350 or so, they were flying pretty high. They'd got a pretty good standing army composed of the citizens and the farmer soldiers, and pretty capable commanders. So they were feeling pretty good about this. And at this point, Roman territory was really big, and it was mostly on the western coast of Italy. And Rome thought, why not go further? Why not create the Roman Empire, or the Italian Empire, or whatever, and, let's expand up to here, and here, and here. And thus starts probably one of the greatest events in history. The upcoming things will shape probably the history of the world, and they're one of the most important events in Roman history, and I think, personally, they're one of the most important events in world history, the Samnite Wars. Dun dun dun. Now, the Samnite Wars were 3 wars which shaped Rome, and I've said that already a bunch of times. You probably don't need me to repeat it again, but again, they were one of the most momentous events in Roman history ever. Now, you may be wondering, where did the other map go? The one with Rome and stuff. Well, you see, at this point, we're not in central Italy anymore, Dorothy. We are now moving into southern Italy, which really shows Rome's dominance has extended. Now, you see, the region of Campania is extremely rich and fertile during, the Roman times. However, in the Middle Ages, it became a swamp, but let's not talk about that. Yeah, but you see, Campania was really rich and really fertile, and the citizens all lived in relative luxury, and they traded with the Greeks. The Greeks were around this area or so, they were fairly wealthy. They were doing well off. Anyway, basically there were some Samnites around this area, near the modern day city of Benevento, which is not marked here. But basically, the Samnites, who I will represent with one of these people. So the Samnites were a hill tribe. They were kind of similar to the Volscians, or the Aequii, and, they were basically, attacking another hill tribe. And, you know, this other hill tribe was like, "Ha, we'll beat you." Pretend this is the other hill tribe, and they're like, except they're much smaller and weaker, so they're like, "Wah!" And then Samnium's like, "Pow!" And then they're like, "No, we run away." So they run away to Campania, and they're like, "Help, Campania, help us against these nerds, the Samnites." And, yeah, the Samnites are like, "Well, you know what, we'll just kill you too." So they decide to attack Campania, and I will just illustrate that in detail here. So, you know, you've got your Samnites, and they're attacking Campania, and they're ravaging the area, and they're burning stuff down, and Campania's like, Rome. Rome to this point is to the northwest, in Latium, and they're like, "Oh no, Rome, help us, these jerks are attacking." And Rome's like, well, you see, Campania's pretty rich, but we've always been friends with the Samnites in the past, right? I mean, no reason to attack them now, despite the fact that we have a vast military machine that's the envy of most of the other powers in Italy. But yeah, you know, we better not antagonize these Samnites. They seem pretty capable. So then the Campanians, anticipating this, did something crazy, insane, and that I think has only been equaled by a couple of things. They surrendered not only the city of Capua, which is the capital of Campania, but they surrendered the entirety of the region to Rome. They promised to become direct Roman subjects, and so therefore the Samnites were now attacking the Romans, technically. So Rome obviously could not ignore this massive, wealthy, fertile, well-populated, rich gift horse in the mouth, and they were like, "Oh, wait a minute. Samnites are now jerks. Yeah, boo Samnites. Samnites are dumb." And, yeah, and so that was the start of the First Samnite War. Again, this is dramatized. They probably did not actually say, "Boo Samnites, you suck," but pretty close to that. So anyway, they decided to start attacking the Samnites and defending their new possession in Campania. Yeah, so now we're going to talk about the two commanders of the Samnite attack, one of which, Aulus Cossus, was basically a Roman patrician, pretty capable guy, but we don't really need to remember him for now. The other guy, Marcus Valerius, we do definitely need to remember. He's a true blue member of the Roman Heroes Club, and he should never be discounted. So anyway, this Marcus Valerius, he got another name, which we'll come to in a second, but, we'll tell first how we got that name. So basically, our boy Camillus, who at this point was commanding an army into Gaul, the Gallic territories in Italy, and he decided to, fight them at a battle. Now, at this battle, it was young Marcus Valerius, at this point just, a teenager. He was hot-blooded, he wanted to fight, and before the battle started, there was this Gallic champion. Now, apparently this guy was huge, he was massive, and he had done this kind of thing before, and he was like, "Any Roman champion that dares to face me will get destroyed. Anyone want to accept the challenge?" And he had killed a couple of other so-called Roman champions before. So Marcus Valerius, being Marcus Valerius, decided to accept the challenge, and supposedly the Gaul was like, "Ha, you're stupid, ha ha," and then he charged with his sword, his massive sword, and he fought Marcus Valerius, and apparently, according to legend, a raven came down and started pecking at his eyes, which was apparently a sign of favor from the gods, and eventually the Gaul was killed, and I'll just shrink him, and Marcus Valerius was the hero of the day, and because of this raven that did all this cool stuff, Marcus Valerius was, in its honor, he was renamed Marcus Valerius Corvus, Corvus meaning raven in Latin. Very, very original. Yep. So, anyway, now that we've introduced the commanders and related this probably fake but definitely entertaining legend, let's move on to the Samnite War itself. Now, you see, the first major thing that the consuls did upon invading the Samnites was to split up. Never a good idea in horror movies or video games, but probably a good idea in this case. Marcus Valerius decided to go into Campania to defend it, while Aulus Caussus decided to go on the offensive in Samnium. Now, you see, Marcus Valerius was commanding a force of Roman troops, and the Samnites also had their troops, and they fought, they fought near Naples, on a mountain, and apparently the battle was not going too well for the Romans. They were getting beaten back, and some were getting killed, until eventually as the sun was about to set, the Romans decided to launch a last desperate charge, which eventually beat up and completely routed the Samnites. Sorry, did I just call them Samnians? Anyway, yeah, so the Samnites were driven back in Campania, and Marcus Valerius got another tally for his hero thing. So, obviously, now that we've seen that battle, let's move on to the next one, which was possibly even worse until an even greater Deus Ex Machina appeared. The act of Deus Ex Machina that I speak of is this. So pretty much our boy, Aulus Caussus, is leading his army into Samnium. He's gonna beat up those nerds, and he's going to avenge the honor of Rome, and, all the usual stuff. And on the way, he's marching his army through basically a ravine. All's going well, when suddenly the Samnites come out of nowhere, and they start ambushing the Romans, and the Romans are stuck inside the ravine, so they can't really get out. Now, you see, and during the battle, this guy called Publius Decius leads part of the army, out of the ravine and onto a hilltop where they make a fortified stand, but there's too many Samnites, and it looks like they're trapped on the hill. However, their brave sacrifice has allowed the rest of the army, led by Caussus, to escape. Now, at this, so they're stuck on the hill, they've got little or no provisions, and they're surrounded by Samnites, they give themselves 80% odds, after all, they're Romans. They're stuck on the hill, they're trapped, they can't get out, and pretend this is the hill. So, eventually the Samnites are like, nah, what a bunch of nerds, whatever, we'll just go to sleep and starve them out. So, Samnites go to sleep, they're sleeping, mind you, not dead. So, Publius Decius decides to sneak his men out under cover of darkness, so he's like, But eventually, one of the soldiers makes a fatal error and accidentally stumbles on a Samnite. So Publius Decius is like, yeah, and he fights his way out, and he's like, pow, 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 pow. And eventually he and his men make it out, and despite the fact that I said fatal error, that wasn't literal, not a single person died under Publius Decius that day, while a bunch of Samnites were dead because they were half asleep, and they were like, wait, let me get on my nightie, what's going on? And then, as they were stabbed by the Romans. So, leaving a bunch of dead Samnites, who this time are truly dead, on the field of battle, Publius Decius takes his men back to the main army, and, Aulus Caussus is like, he's about to launch into the speech, he's like, you're so cool, you're awesome, what an amazing guy, Romans are so fortunate that you exist, you're like, awesome and cool and amazing, and Publius Decius is like, nah, cut it, come on, we need to attack them, because they've, just been killed, a bunch of them have been killed, and they're still sleepy and stuff, so they attack, and the Samnite army is routed, and, they win the day, and Publius Decius gets an award that very rarely is given, the Grass Crown, which is basically given by the soldiers to someone who they think is, really awesome or did something really great. And this is given by the vote of all the soldiers, so it's very rare. If you've seen, depictions of Julius Caesar with, a laurel wreath, he got a similar award. But basically, they give Publius Decius the Grass Crown for his amazing and heroic efforts in saving the entire army, and, and he's a hero. Make sure to dislike, unsubscribe, and don't comment, and I hope never to see you guys again. Goodbye.